All right. Defensive backs combine is in the bag. All right. So combine's over. With the serious. Going with the camo again. Here we go. All right. So combine is finished. It is officially finished. So great job by NFL Network covering the NFL Scouting Combine 2020. Go ahead and like this video if you're logging in here for the first time. Hit like on the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. And we're going to talk about who did the Cowboys visit with on the defensive backside, and we'll kind of just talk about, briefly kind of how they did at the combine. All right, so let's get right into it. All right. One of the players Cowboys met with, Brandon Jones out of Texas. He's a safety. I thought he looked pretty good. Out there out of Texas. Another guy, obviously, the main one, Jeff Okudah. Cowboys met with him. All right. Why did they meet with him? Probably just to see what type of player he is. He looked good. Obviously, he had to cut his combine short as well. He kind of hit his neck or whatever. But Cowboys, they met with him. So, is there a possible scenario where if he were to fall, Cowboys move up and trade for him? Who knows? I know he's the number one corner in this draft, so it's probably more of get to know the player a little bit more. So they met with him. All right. Another player the Cowboys met with at the combine, Christian Fulton, LSU. Okay. Christian Fulton, another cornerback Cowboys met with, and there's obvious interest there for him. Cowboys is looking more and more like they're going to be in business for secondary help. All right. So it's going to be one of those situations where we'll see what they do in free agency. Do they add another free agent into the mix and then draft a cornerback? We'll see about that. But Christian Fulton, he ran a 4.46. That's pretty good. So, he'll be in the mix. Another player the Cowboys met with, C.J. Henderson. All right. Cornerback, Florida. He had a solid scouting combine. All right. He's a pretty good player. I've liked him from the get-go. His tackling, however, I would say if there's any weakness in his game, it is tackling. But, if he can cover, that's good. If he could get the ball to get some turnovers, that's good. We know Byron Jones wasn't the biggest tackler. He made a lot of business decisions himself. So, that for me is more of his weakness is the tackling angles on tackles. But other than that, physical, he'll play and run support and that kind of thing. But he looked good in the drills. He looked very natural. The back pedal, the hips. I didn't see any tightness in there. So kind of just has another check mark for me. He looked pretty good. All right. Who else are the Cowboys meeting with? J.R. Reed. All right, baby. J.R. Reed, safety, Georgia. All right. Good player. Knows where to be. Knows a leader on that Georgia team, and has all the measurables. And he really showed out at this combine. The only knock on him, 24 years old. Okay, so it's not a death sentence by any means. There's always that player in the draft. There's always several in this draft that are 24. So somebody at that age, you kind of have to hope that they can be something for you. But would they get a second contract? Would they be a little too old to get a second contract? If you're a good player, you'll get the second contract. So J.R. Reed, obvious interest by the Cowboys. You can see why. And he looked good in the scouting combine. All right. Another player the Cowboys met with, Metellus, safety out of Michigan. I thought he had a good combine as well. I thought he looked good in the and a lot of the drill work. Um, Safety had a good 40, 4.55. Probably more of a later round pick. All right, when you're talking about Josh Metellus out of Michigan, somebody you're going to get on day 3, in my opinion. Okay, so I think the Cowboys, they'll add another player in the secondary, cornerback for sure, safety for sure. So it's just a matter of where in this draft do they get these players. All right, Fuller, safety out of Ohio State. Cowboys met with him as well. And again, I thought he had a decent combine. Fuller out of Ohio State. Cowboys met with him. All right, so 4.67 on the 40. I think this is a player that you would throw in the mix, depth, special teamer type of guy. See if he makes the team. Fuller wouldn't be somebody that would go early. So, Jordan Fuller out of Ohio State has all the measurables you want. 6 foot, 203, comes from a very good program there. The new DBU looks to be Ohio State. These guys just continue to put out really good defenders. All right. Other player the Cowboys met with, Xavier McKinney, okay, out of Alabama. He pulled his, I think it was his hamstring in the 40. So you didn't get to see him in the drills. That's a shame. I wanted to see McKinney in the drills, but I like what he does on the field. I think his 40, obviously he kind of pulled up on it, so I don't think that's a good number from him. I think he had like a 4.6 something. Let me see if I can get his official 40. He only ran once, obviously. So, yeah, they gave him a 4.63, and he pulled his hamstring there. So, keep an eye on McKinney. I like him a lot. So, McKinney, he's in the mix. Cowboys met with him. Another player here, Cowboys met with Hill, safety, Michigan. All right, so the theme here is the Cowboys, are meeting with a lot of secondary players. So they're not making it any secret that they're going to be looking at cornerbacks, safeties. All right, so Levert Hill out of Michigan, they met with him, and we'll see where he goes. 21 reps on the bench, so he's got good power. I'll need to look at him a little bit closer, but he's in the mix. All right. Another one here, DB out of Alabama. Cowboys met with him. Let me see who else we got on here. Yeah, let me see. Cowboys meeting with a lot of players from big programs. All right, I know a lot of people are high on Duggar from the North. And just because the Cowboys didn't meet with him doesn't mean that there's not interest in there. Okay, these are just players that the Cowboys met with during the combine process, formal, informal, that kind of thing. So obviously, there's a lot of fans of Duggar. Smaller program. Cowboys have kind of gone away from drafting from smaller schools, and they've kind of been looking at your bigger programs, and a lot of that you can tell in a lot of these players that we're talking about. Here's another one. Grant Delpit, Cowboys met with him. Obviously, he wasn't running any of the drills today, but he is also in the mix. I think he will be there at 17. I think the Cowboys are going to have a good selection of options of who they want. When we're talking about safeties and cornerbacks, I think McKinney has a good chance of being there. Delpit has a good chance. And CJ Henderson, they're going to have some options there. Now, do they stay there at 17 or do they move out? All right, so that's a couple of the names there that the Cowboys met with. AJ Terrell out of Clemson, I thought he had a good combine. I thought he had a really good combine. Let me see who else. There was honorable mentions. Troy Pride out of Notre Dame, really good. I haven't confirmed if the Cowboys met with him or not, but he looked good. All right. Honorable mention, Tanner Muse. All right. Keep an eye on this one. Clemson, safety, 6'2", 227. All right. Has a lot of production for Clemson. He has good ball skills, but they're saying that he could be one that could possibly transition from safety to linebacker. All right. And that is actually something that I thought in my mind. I was like, this guy looks more like a linebacker. He's got the long arms. Honestly, he kind of looked like a Leighton Vander Esch to me. Obviously, a little bit more leaner than Vander Esch, obviously. But you know, if they're talking about him possibly being transitioned to a linebacker, man, the production's there. Tanner Muse, he looked good in these drills as well. I didn't get confirmation if the Cowboys met with him, but just something to keep in mind. Also, Antoine Winfield Jr., all right? I love his combine. I just like that this player has a knack for the ball. Safety, there's some comparisons to the Honey Badger. Obviously with the size, Buda Baker as well. I wouldn't say he's as physical as Buda Baker, but these guys are definitely in the same realm, the same kind of height. Bob Sanders, these kinds got 5'9" players. Honey Badger, Bob Sanders, um, these types of players. So you could play him in the nickel. He'll get the. I mean, he plays really good. He looked good in the combine. I hope the Cowboys have interest in this player. In the old regime, it will probably be a definite no-go because of the height. But we have a new regime in here. They're looking for playmakers, okay? Someone is going to get the ball, who's going to turn the ball over, someone that can play and play well. Winfield comes from a good pedigree. So keep an eye on him, you know. But overall, a really good combine, all right? Really good combine. A lot more names out there that we can discuss now. I'll have a video here, a comprehensive video here, hopefully tomorrow. I'll go over everybody the Cowboys have met with, going all the way back to the East-West Shrine game. All right, so lots of interesting names. More meetings and pro day visits and, in official invites. Your 30 visits, that's going to start coming down the pipe. So we'll get a more of a clue as to who the Cowboys have higher interest in. But you still want to continue to look at these other prospects that may not be officially on the Cowboys visits list, because the Cowboys, they always, they do throw in some player names that the Cowboys didn't meet with. Okay, there's always those players that come in like a Dorrance Armstrong or like a Ryan Switzer. These types of players that weren't necessarily on the Cowboys' radar, but they end up drafting the players. So we don't want to get tunnel vision on just the players the Cowboys have met with. You want to keep your mind open, especially with this new regime, as far as playmakers. Cowboys need playmakers. What's up, Cowboys Nation TV? Foots, thank you, boy. I love seeing some of these guys on here. Any questions here in the comments, let me know, and we'll answer some of them for you. But overall, a very good combine. Lots of good options for the Cowboys. I know some fans are a little worrisome about Byron Jones walking out the door. But there's a plan in place. Every team has to go through these types of issues. You can't keep everybody. But it's going to be an interesting strategy for the Cowboys as far as what they do in free agency and then the draft, right? Is Anthony Brown somebody that you bring back for your secondary? I think, you throw him a contract, see if it'll stick. If not, you may have to double dip there in secondary. But they'll probably bring in, one of these clearance deal type of guys. But I'm not worried. I'm not. There's a lot of talent in this draft. it went deeper than I thought it would. Defensive backs, they're deep, just as deep as the wide receivers. And I don't think that's a coincidence. In the new age, the new offense of the NFL, you're getting a lot of receivers, so you got to offset that with your DBs. Colleges are doing that, and that's rolling over into the NFL. So I think we're good there with DBs and safeties. Now the plan is, what do the Cowboys do? Who's going to be there at 17? Do they stay there? Does somebody fall and then they go ahead and jump up and grab somebody? Interesting. Very interesting, guys. But I don't want to drag this on too long. That's just a quick hit on the defensive backs recap. Thanks for everybody that jumped on here live. Hit like on this video. Hit subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel already. And, continue to share, like, subscribe, and everything, guys. Can't do this without you. Draft season is full-blown here. And free agency frenzy is right around the corner. Once that comes out, I will have my first official 7-round mock draft. Okay? So keep an eye on that one. I'll catch you guys for the next video, guys. Peace, everybody.